We finally get to see the water. Please don't fall in.
Dearest gentle viewers, welcome back to my channel. After the first couple of days of walking around Dubrovnik, we went on a day trip to Montenegro. Important information if you're visiting is they are not part of the EU, so if you purchase a SIM card, likely you will have no reception if you get the SIM card that is for all the EU countries. They do still use euros, so you can use that to buy your gelato. This was our first time being really close to the water that we had been observing from afar in Dubrovnik. Since this was a pretty short day trip, the drive there and back took a lot of time. We didn't have too much time for exploring, but we did find some really cool pockets of the old town on our own. While we were walking around, I saw in the alleys there was a Turkish lamp store, and I really like Turkish lamps. They're beautiful. I want to bring one home, but they're not really easily traveled with. And then our adventures began.
That's okay, Nosh. 我可以保护你。
This one is creme de la creme.
Andrew 知道你在哪里，所以我们可以。Secret room. That's the actual store. This is a back room. Crazy.
I'm sure she's selling it to somebody.
Oh, okay.
I think that's for animals.
Which one, darling?
At the top?
Yeah, of course, for
Wow.
little kitties, for...
Hi, it's editor Michelle talking. I don't know how well this will show up because I actually don't ever record from my laptop, but if you're wondering what happened there, we went to a store to look at jewelry, and the guy was really friendly. He was like, I'm actually from Sacramento. I know exactly where you guys are from, and my relative over here has the store if you're interested in leather goods. And we went along with it because he seemed really nice. And then the friend or the relative showed us his secret room in his store. So the storefront was legal, the secret room maybe not. And we didn't really find anything we were interested in, so he was like, I have this other secret room. So then we went to another secret room, couldn't find anything we were super interested in. And then he was like, I have this other store. So then we went to this locked room that had no storefront, and there were so many bags in there, and I kind of have the feeling that most of it isn't legit. But he assured us that he had this crazy list of A-list celebrities that shop there, and the stuff is all good, and he lit stuff on fire to show that it didn't melt, and it was real leather, and I think there was a small part of me that was like, this is a little bit shady, which is why I said in Chinese to my mom, like, I'll protect you, But just to clarify, we were just killing time, waiting before it was time to head back to Dubrovnik, and we weren't really looking for anything in particular, just a wallet, like a simple small wallet for my mom. And that escalated real fast. Meow. After the excursion to Montenegro, we returned to Dubrovnik for our last sunset. The sunset was beautiful, and it was golden hour, so it's kind of perfect to catch different kinds of lighting. We got to really just have a chill night, and the next day we headed off to Split. Bye bye, son.
Morning eating challenge. Bye bye, flip flops. You've served me well. Meal prep from the breakfast buffet.
This water is so beautiful. If I ever get to go back, I definitely want to be able to actually get in the water. I really thought this trip was going to be all about being in bikinis and chilling. There was just so much sightseeing to do.
Meow. Hi. Meow. Oh, hello.
The main place that we visited in Split was Diocletian's Palace, and Split is the second largest city in Croatia. It does have pretty different vibes compared to Dubrovnik, and there is a free portion of the palace that you can enter without paying a fee, but to see the Game of Thrones filming area, you do have to go into the paid entry section. I do really wish that I had checked ahead of time, because I think the camera that I used for this next clip doesn't do very well in low light settings, so I will keep that in mind for next time. And this is what they used for Marine in Game of Thrones. Next, in the city walking tour, that was a couple getting some wedding pictures taken. That was the anti-piss corner, and this is just a pretty alley. We walked around the gates of the palace. So there's 4 gates: the Golden Gate, Silver Gate, Iron Gate, and Brass Gate. And then we concluded with a walk around the different alleys, and I got to check out this water fountain. Being able to drink the tap water made visiting Croatia really awesome for me, because I've been to other places where the tap water isn't safe to drink, and having to buy your daily amount of water is really hard when you drink as much water as I do. Next, I got to visit the Game of Thrones Museum. This was a personal thing on the trip that I wanted to check out, so I went alone. It was a lot smaller than I expected, and the things that are on display are not actually from the show, so I clarified that with the people who work there. It was still a really cool experience. It really wasn't crowded, it's not that expensive, and it's a good break from the really hot weather outside.
This is actually kind of creepy.
They have different rooms for the different areas of Game of Thrones, and they had cool props and costumes, and this was the creepy room. It's a little creepier the longer you stare at it. Hello. I would still recommend checking it out if you have the time and you happen to be in this area, because there aren't that many Game of Thrones museums. Included in the tour is a picture on the Iron Throne, and I must have gotten like 4 pictures on different thrones at this point, but doing touristy stuff. I happened to pass by a Croatian jewelry store, and they specialized in filigree. The people who own the store hand make their own jewelry, and of course I had to pick up a piece because I really like jewelry, and I really like to pick up a few pieces on these trips, so when I wear them at home, it reminds me of the trip.
Making always.
Okay, I will look for you guys. Yeah. I'm also on YouTube, so.
Yeah, what's you?
During my solo adventures, my mom was resting her feet, so in the afternoon we had a little bit of spare time. Again, this was a kind of a rush trip in Split, and we went to the fortress where there was more Game of Thrones scenes filmed. Diocles Fortress is a medieval fortress that they used as marine, and that's where there were slave masters crucified in Game of Thrones. You will recognize this if you have watched the show, and even if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, it is definitely worth checking out. It's a little bit far from downtown, so you do have to take an Uber. It does get really hot, so this is a good place to visit either earlier in the day or closer to sunset. We got there right about an hour before they closed, and that was plenty of time to walk and see pretty much all of it. There is a cool room with muskets, swords, and armor, and some Turkish attire if you do get to explore. Bye bye. Bye, fortress.
No, I think it's security.
The way up and down is pretty steep, so you cannot access the entry by car. So that is something to keep in mind if you plan on visiting.
Actually, I don't know the food situation.
你可以把2个爸带去，可是不需要再带这些 bread。
So I'm pretty sure there's no gym for the next like 3 nights. So I'm gonna be like, ah! This is actually harder than on the floor.